Peace, everybody. This is your guy Rashawn, aka Looker. Welcome back to the Space Invaders TV channel here on YouTube. Uh, it is the evening of July 14th, Wednesday, July 14th, 2021. Welcome to you all. Welcome. If you're a new subscriber, make sure, even if you're an old subscriber and you didn't do this, make sure you hit the notification bell so every time that I post, you'll get the notification in your email, and you'll know exactly when I'm posting. You'll get it. You know. Um, Once again, welcome to you guys. We're gonna jump right into it this evening. I want to talk about that board meeting from the Guilford County School System. Okay, that happened on Tuesday evening, July 13th, 2021. And what was I want to talk about some things like I seen a lot of massaging the superintendent up there at one point. You had some people come in and talking about she's doing a good job, but not really pinpointing like what good job is she doing? Because let's remember here um this is about the children, okay? All right, and it's about what we actually seeing here, okay? And let's be clear. I'm gonna say this, and I said it before. I'm not blaming the Guilford County school system for the COVID at all. I'm not blaming at all. But I will blame Miss Contreras because she had emergency powers, right, to do certain things, and I felt like in her emergency powers, what were you doing? Because I've heard the people say she didn't really use her emergency powers. So did she really know what kind of power she had then? Because if all your emergency powers required you to do was get some laptop computers for the kids and give out bag lunches to the kids, then I don't know, you know, it's a lot more than there's a lot more that should have been done just from that, you know what I mean? Because a lot of kids didn't even have Wi-Fi in their home. So that, you know what I mean, that was a good idea, but it didn't work for everybody, for all the children. And yes, I will give credit. You did have, I've seen in different areas where you had the school buses that had Wi-Fi and they were parked in remote locations, and the children were allowed to get on the bus and use, the Wi-Fi on the bus. I seen those things, but let's just be clear here. There were kids that were still living out in the county that didn't have access. We knew that. That was repeated multiple times and on the news stations and media. So, and let's be clear when we talk about those bag lunches, because I heard that brought up in the meet in the board meeting about, when they were massaging the superintendent and talking about she done a great job, but then how you doing a great job, but then in the same breath you say, yeah, the emergency powers, she had emergency powers, but she didn't never really exercise them. So which one was it? You had power to do things, but you weren't exercising it. So how could we say you did a good job? So I guess no job is a good job. That's what we saying? I'm confused. I'm very confused. And I felt a lot of like they were on a they were defending and speaking on at that board meeting, board members and things, and even the superintendent, Ms. Contreras, was speaking on a lot of things from what they heard, but then at the same time they're saying how the public was misinformed. But the public, if we're misinformed, it's because of you guys not informing us. So let's just start back where I said, if you had emergency powers, Miss Contreras, and even the board members, when they were defending you, said that you really never used the powers. Like she really, they were saying, oh, Miss Contreras never really used the powers. Okay, well, if she never really used the powers, then what good job are we talking about? Giving out bag lunches, giving out, doing the computers. Let's remember what parents had to sign off for them computers. You know what I mean? Let's remember what you had to do for those computers, and they had to turn them back in too. So it's not like they were given away. And let's understand something: those computers for the remote learning that you had to go to the schools to get. Let's understand something. A lot of children may not even have access to Wi-Fi. Now, granted, you had in some locations I seen, maybe a lot of you may can contest to this, but a lot of locations I seen, they had the buses parked in certain locations. The school buses where children could have got on the school bus and used the Wi-Fi on the bus. That was cool, but I know a lot of the areas weren't privy to that. So again, not every student was able to do that, to use that. I should say. Um, I just felt like it was a lot of, they, like I said again, they talked about a lot of people being, misinformed and information. Well, that's a reflection of you guys. That's a reflection of what you guys not telling the people. What you guys not sharing and forgetting that you work for the children. The school board, you work for the children. The superintendent, you work for the children. You don't work for yourself. So some of you know that, but he ain't acting like that. You work for the children. You work for the children and them teachers and the parents. You know what I'm saying? And the administration, you work for the people. You know what I mean? And so I'm listening and I'm hearing you guys getting all on the defense about certain things and what the public don't know and the miseducation that the public has. Well, we only speaking on what we see, and the eyes ain't gonna lie. You know what I'm saying? People lie. The eyes ain't gonna lie. What we see, you know. And like I've said before, I'm a parent of a child in the Guilford County school system, and how I feel, you cannot say that, oh, Miss Contreras did a good job, but then you turn around and say, well, she had emergency powers and she really didn't use them, so she ain't abusing it. She didn't even really use them like that. So how could we say if she had emergency powers to do certain things? Then explain to us why she ain't uh, use her emergency powers to upgrade these schools and get security and upgrade these schools while they had the downtime during the COVID. Are those schools going to be secured the same way they were at their meeting on the 13th, on July 13th, 2021? Are the schools going to have that same security? Are they going to get that same energy? Are they going to have upgraded classrooms like they upgraded their boardroom? Like they dropped millions on that, and however much they might have spent on security. I heard they had extra sheriffs, city, the Greensboro police. Um, you know, I mean, come on, man. Are the schools gonna get that same energy? What I want to do right now, because they was also speaking about the grants policy, right? Like the board members was talking about, you know, Ms. Contreras had the emergency powers, but she still didn't have the right to go over them and go get grant money. She still had to speak to them about the grant money, and she went and got a grant and didn't speak to the board about it. Kind of just went right over their head with it. Certain board members didn't feel like she did anything wrong. Heck, not even the board of ed lawyer felt like Miss Contreras did anything wrong. But as we all know, in any business, major business, big business, there are board members. The presidents of the company, VPs of the company, they are to sit down and speak to the board members. They are not to go over the board members. The board members appoint you and get you in. You are to adhere to what the board members say. You know, you ought to sit and listen to the board members and get their approval. You are not to, it's protocol to things. And what it seems is that, and this was where the problem came in with the board, because that emergency power that Ms. Contreras had, she was flexing it in the wrong ways. And see, I think in so many things where I gathered, looking at the meeting and listening, and I think a few board members were trying to be nice about it, being that it was their first time back in person like that. I think they were just trying to be nice about it. But the whole truth of the matter is that Ms. Contreras has been flexing her muscle and disrespecting them board members. And not many of them gonna say nothing. But we're gonna go over this grant funding. This is from the Guilford County Board of Education, the policies. So you can go to the Guilford County Schools website and you can look up these policies as well that I'm gonna be running down to y'all. Because as we know, when you start a job, they always hand you what? The handbook, right? If you start a job, they give you the company handbook. And what are in there? The policies, rules and regulations, ethics codes, all that. You know, how they want their employees to carry themselves when you on that said employer's property, right? In and outside that employer's property, right? So, okay, this is real quick. The grants, we're gonna run this down. I mean, not the grant funding, the policy for when superintendents doing grants. The Guilford County School system encourages the strategic use of grants funding aligned to school and district goals and priorities. Any individual school or district initiated grant that involves the request or expenditure strict funds during the life of the grant or in subsequent years following the grant must be approved or reported at the district level. Staff seeking to apply for grants in an amount less than $50,000 shall notify the grants office and follow the guidelines stated in the procedure. Staff applying for grants of $50,000 or more shall submit the application to the grants office for prior approval before final submission. These grants will be reviewed and approved by the district grant approval committee. Grants in excess of $100,000 require the approval of the Board of Education prior to final submission. The board shall receive an annual report on the status of grant funding. The superintendent or his designee is authorized. I'm sorry, y'all, I said designee. Designee is authorized to issue procedures providing the details of the grant approval process. I'm going to read that last line again. The board shall receive an annual report on the status of grant funding. The superintendent or his designee is authorized to issue procedures providing the details of the grant approval process. So, Ms. Contreras had applied for a grant. She did not sit down with the board. She came after it was already done. She went over their head and went backwards with it. She was to sit down with them and continue to let them know what was going on through the process. But she came afterwards after she done went over them and got that money, and that's where one of the biggest issues come in that, because again, the emergency powers that she had was to was concerning opening and closing the school and moving things along when it came to the school, not funding. That emergency power didn't give her like reign over when it was going to try to get funding. You still had to step back when it came to funding. She had to come and talk to them about that. She didn't do it. All right, so moving along, man. And the thing that just bugs me out with the whole thing is that, you know, how they want to lock the public out and want to claim security and safety, and we talking about your life and everything like that, and the way of the world, and they talked about how people are just acting crazy. I get it, but what are those same thoughts there? And as those conversations from the board had with the superintendent, are y'all talking to her about that? I doubt it, because why haven't we heard anything about if any updates, upgrades in the security system in these schools? Any programs? What about the new programs? Any new, excuse me, or any new initiatives started? Okay, when school was out, I will say this again. When school was out during the COVID, the height of the COVID, the school shut down and the students went to remote learning. That was a time to put some things into play. That was some time to put action plans together. Granted, the government, the United States government put mandates in place that then were handed down through states, or then certain states put their own mandates into play or added on to what United States mandates were during the height of the COVID. So when those things were put in place and children were at home doing remote learning, and as Ms. Contreras said during the meeting, they didn't lay any employees off. None of Guilford County employees got laid off. That's what he said. But they also, Ms. Bellamy Smalls said something that wasn't true. She said, "Oh yeah, even the ACES program. No, ACES was shut down. It was no in person, school. So the ACES program was not shut down. It was not. And even but again, you had ample amount of time to put a gameplay together, put something together, so you can get some things started, because you knew you were going to be going for funding. You knew funding was coming down the pipeline for, for the school system. So things should have been put in play. You should have had people in line ready to work and ready to get some things done around these schools while you had this downtime and the schools weren't being occupied. So we can blame the mandate or whatever, like, oh, the mandate from the governor, so we couldn't do. Okay, that was that concerning the students and everything, but what about Getting work done. What about getting work done in those schools? That's all my concern is. Any other the other jibber jabber they talking about, I'm talking about getting work done in them schools, upgrading them schools, at least getting something started. Um uh and what other plans you got for the new school year? We still haven't heard anything to this moment. What's the whole plan for this school year coming up? We still haven't heard that. But they so concerned about locking the public out, and they talking about fearing for their life and their security. But what about these children that y'all have in the school with no security, with no security, and schools that need repairs? Let's just go back and talk about Irwin Montessori, Peeler Elementary, and Hampton. Let's talk about when you got that insurance money. Let's talk about when they said you could have got more than a 10.1 if those 10.1 million if those schools weren't so old. And you have a lot of old schools in Guilford County that need to be upgraded. And you haven't started anything. What's the game plan on that? That's what we talking about. That's what I've been talking about. Like, what's the game plan on upgrading these schools, bringing a better curriculum to these schools? What's up with that? What's up with that? And you can't, all of this getting on the defense side about what you done, or a good job you doing. But how you doing a good job if you had emergency powers and everyone even said, unbeknownst to that, not knowing what they really saying, like. But what I got out of it was she had emergency powers, but she didn't even really use them like she could have. She wasn't really using them. So if you wasn't really using emergency powers, then how you was doing a good job then? Because if you wasn't using the emergency powers, then what was you doing? You know what I mean? Because we ain't see nothing anyway at all. That's all I'm saying. Um, what is the plan for the new school year? Where's that plan at? We got a month. We pretty much got a month to go before the school starts back in Guilford County. In August. What's the plan? Why are we not hearing anything? You're so it's so they're trying to lock the people out. How you want to lock the people out? You're supposed to be servicing. I don't understand. But you want the parents to help y'all to move things along. See, you want the parents involved when you want them involved. Let's move to some old policies over here. It's like I said, when you start a job, they give you the handbook. Let's move to the code of ethics. Let's talk about a code of ethics. Remember last week I talked about having ethics, a code of ethics. Let's talk about this is the Guilford County's policy, Guilford County Schools policies. Okay? The board member recognizes that they have an obligation to work collaboratively, and to act with the utmost integrity, fairness, responsibility to the end. The Board of Education has enacted this code of ethics to guide them as they carry out their official duties. Code of Ethics 1. Recognize the board members are trustees of public education and work daily to protect, conserve, and advance the mission and goals of a Guilford County school. Act with honesty, fairness, integrity, and discretion in all relationships. Assure the opportunity for high quality education and representation for every student and make the well-being of students the fundamental principle for all decision and action. Let's go back. That was number 3. Let's go back to that. I'm going to read that again. Assure the opportunity for high quality education and representation for every student and make the well-being of students the fundamental principle for all decisions and actions. Okay. high quality education. What does that mean? Like I talked last week. It talked about I talked about last week meeting these children where they at right now. I talked about coding. I talked about like hands on, bringing that back. I talked about, uh, you know, engineering, like the basics. The kids should know this stuff. You know what I mean? We should be bringing this to the children. Uh, Starting them off when at a young, early years in school. You know, I would say, hey, bring it to them as early as third grade. These kids aren't slow. These kids are not slow at all. These kids are so advanced. You know, we gotta meet them and make school interesting to them. These kids let their mind really work. You know, and bring today. This technology age is off the chain. Nothing. Hey, when the COVID, where all the people had during COVID? All they had was the technology to keep most sane. Man, let me go on. Number 4, respect the need for the board to act only as a whole, except as specifically authorized otherwise. Number 5, respect the opinion of others with tolerance and patience. Number 6, assure the accessibility of the board to the entire community. Number 6, assure the accessibility of the board to the entire community. So y'all want to lock people out. You know what I mean? But y'all, as it says, number 6, code of ethics, assure the accessibility of the board to the entire community. Okay? Not just by video. Okay? Number 7, encourage and invite the involvement of the community with the Guilford County Schools. Number 7 is just piggybacking off of number 6. I'm going to read number 7 again. Encourage and value the involvement of the community with the Guilford County Schools. This is the code of ethics for the Guilford County Schools. Number 8, respect the need to make informed, timely decisions in the best interest of all children. Number 9, advocate for adequate financial support for the Guilford County Schools. Number 10, act to represent the citizens of the entire district. Act to represent the citizens of the entire district. Number 11, stay informed about the educational and legal issues and materials required to perform the duties as members of the Board of Education. Number 12, refrain from using a position on the Board of Education for financial or personal gain. What's this? Number 13, take no private action that will compromise the board or administration, and respect the confidentiality of information that is privileged under applicable law. Number 14, attend training as required by state law and state board policy. 2 hours of ethics education within 12 months of each election or re-election to the board, and 12 hours of training annually. Follow all ethical guidelines reflected in state law, state board policy, and the policy of the Guilford County Board of Education. Obey all applicable state and federal laws regarding official actions taken as board members. Number 17, uphold the state's requirements for open meetings and public records without compromising the requirement and value of confidentiality with regard to personnel and student matters and other areas provided by law. Act at all times with independence, free from undue influence or the appearance of impropriety. No board member shall accept a gift of substantial economic value that would tend to influence a reasonable person when conducting the business of the school district. So, let's get back to that again. That is the Guilford County Board of Education Code of Ethics. You can find this on the Guilford County Schools website. Guilford County Schools website. This is where you can find this information, folks. What I'm reading to you right now. Alright. We're gonna move along because we're gonna go. I wanna get over here to what it says about the superintendent. Shall we? Shall we? Because what was that? Section B. Section B, superintendent. Where you at? Where you at? Guilford County Board of Education. Section B. I'm trying to find it. Give me a minute. Can't. Where it go? Where it go? Give me a minute, y'all. I'm just trying to find the duties of the superintendent. Duties of the superintendent. There we go. That's what we wanted. Alright. So, once again, duties of the superintendent. Now this is the policies. Policies and procedures on the Guilford County Schools website. The policies of the Guilford County Board, Guilford County School Systems, I should say, the policies and procedures of the Guilford County School System. Alright? The superintendent. Now, this is section, I'm going to tell y'all what section this is on for the Guilford County Schools. This is section B on the policies, the superintendent duties. Okay? The superintendent functions as the chief administrator of the district and reports directly to the Board of Education. He or she is responsible for the operation of the district. In addition to the duties imposed by statute and contractual agreement, the board will instruct the superintendent through written policies that prescribe the organizational goals to be achieved and describe organizational situations and actions to be expected or avoided. The board will support any reasonable interpretation of those policies by the superintendent. Accordingly, 1. The board will develop goals for the district which the superintendent is responsible for implementing. 2. The board will develop policies that impart the value and objectives of the district. These policies will be developed systematically from the broadest, most general level to more defined levels. I'm going to read that one again. The board will develop policies that impart the values and objectives of the district. These policies will be developed systematically from the broadest, most general level to more defined levels. Number 3, the superintendent is authorized to establish necessary administrative procedures or rules, make all decisions, establish practices, and develop activities the superintendent deems appropriate to achieve the board's goals and policy. The superintendent will assure an organizational culture that conforms to the following values and conforms to the following concepts. A. Honesty in all written and interpersonal interaction. B. Respect for the opinion of others. C. A focus on issues rather than on personalities. D. A focus on common organizational goals as expressed in broad action and policies. E. Timely communication. F. Appropriate confidentiality. G. Open sharing of information and knowledge. I'm going to read G again. Open sharing of information and knowledge. So, superintendent, your job, I'm reading off the description of your job. The superintendent is supposed to report. She has to report to the board. The board don't work for her. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, It's the dictatorship attitude. And I'm gonna go back to B. Respect for opinions of others. Uh, what was I at? Yeah, yeah. A respect for the opinion of others. Honesty in all written and interpersonal interaction. All right. Uh, now this is H. Willingness to protect the integrity and promote the positive image of the district, the leaders and staff. Involvement of stakeholders in the schools. Protection against illegal activity or condition. Consistent and fair treatment of all staff. Encourage instructional programs that are innovative. Encourage instructional programs that are innovative, content driven, and aligned with established standards, and evaluate to assure continued effectiveness. M. Protect against discrimination of any kind, including race, gender, age, religion, ethnicity, or handicap. N. The efficient and courteous handling of grievances and complaints. O. Communication with the board when significant events occur that could result in media coverage or could require or suggest board action or activity. And P. Clear and direct communication and formats that are accessible and understandable. I'm going to read P again. Clear and direct communication and formats that are accessible and understandable. The superintendent is expected to act at all times in a manner that is ethical, respectful, prudent, moral, reputable, lawful, and consistent with board policy goals and objectives. Okay? So that is the duty of the superintendent. Okay? And that is titled Duties of the Superintendent. This is the administrative policies and procedures. This is on the Guilford County Schools website. Okay? So all I'm trying to say is, man, they gotta follow the policy, follow the rules. And can't forget the mission here is these children. They talking that, but we ain't seen that. The communication sucks. The way that they've been handling, the way that they've been trying to handle the parents, and is a disrespect. You know, it's disrespect the way they're trying to handle these children. And as I said last week, just because you have knowledge of the job, don't make y'all better. That's for board members and all. It don't make y'all better than nobody. In fact, at the end of the day, we got to be clear here. And this is where the line, you know, people always want your vote. And they want the people vote. But then they don't want to hear it from the people when the people got grievances with them. You know what I'm saying? Instead of being on the defense about what is being said, won't they take a step back and listen to what's being said and help the public to understand what's really going on there? Because until people like myself get an understanding of what y'all really doing, until y'all actually put it out there what y'all really doing, show us, put it in paper what you really doing, and put it there, and pass that paper over that desk to us and show us what y'all got going on. Other than that, if y'all say we assuming, then I'm gonna keep assuming. But I got a level head, and I know that what I'm saying, what I'm seeing, my eyes ain't deceiving me. So I ain't one that you just gonna tell the sky is red when I know it ain't. You know, we just not gonna do that. And like I said, just because you have a level of education in what you're doing, kudos, but it ain't. But we ain't seeing. You ain't seeing the expertise of that. You know, like I said, the school year 2021, the new school year for 2021 is upon us in another month for Guilford County Schools. And we have yet to hear a game plan. What's the plan? How we moving? What's going on? Are you really going to be fully functioning? Are you going to have enough bus drivers to pick the children up in the mornings and take them back home in the evenings? Are you going to have enough teachers? Since we hearing about the shortage, y'all talking about y'all hiring some teachers. Are you going to have enough teachers? See, what I think is y'all don't have enough stuff in a row. That's why you ain't talking about nothing. You see, because what I believe is y'all sat on your hands the whole 2020. I ain't gonna say y'all because I understand that the board took the back seat to that emergency powers that they gave the superintendent. They took the back seat and they ran with that. But now the board want their power back. But yeah, I'm your guy Rashawn, and I just wanted to run down some policies, man. You know, because you know we gotta remember some things, and sometimes you gotta remind people what their job title is, because people often forget. And your job title isn't, whatever they think it is. Your job title is just what you ought to do. Just what I read, Miss Superintendent. Just what I read. The duties of the superintendent is in the Guilford County Schools. On the website, you can find it. That's what it is, man. The administrative directory. That's all you gotta do. Let's go here. It's rules, man. It's rules. And people gotta learn to follow these rules, man. Some people get into these jobs and they head just they forget that there is a code that you must follow. And you can't tell us, y'all sat there on that board and y'all try to tell us, well, Miss Contreras really didn't use the emergency powers. She did a great job, but she didn't really even use the emergency powers like she could have. She didn't use them at all. So what job did she do good then? Because the emergency powers who gave her powers, the board sat back, jumped in the back seat and let her drive the car. So where is she driving to? You're asking for more monies. What are you doing with it? What are you doing with it? Well, we seen what you did. What you did real quick. See, y'all got an updated boardroom. We see y'all made sure y'all had security. But the same things y'all did for yourselves right there, y'all should have did that for them schools first. Y'all should have started something on them schools. Because y'all know with some schools in Guilford County that really need that work. That really need some upgrades. School's old, man. From the 60s. Nothing upgraded. What's up? Hey, I'm going to pose this question. Ms. Contreras, did y'all get a county, has the county received any receipts for any new work that need to be done to any of these schools? How about that? Have they received that? Have any receipts been sent to the county so they can go ahead and start paying for some work that's been done or need to be done? Yeah, don't worry, I'll wait. But I'm your guy, Rashawn, and this is Space Invaders TV here on YouTube. Y'all make sure y'all tell a friend, tell a friend. I want to say peace and blessings to you all. And we're going to keep on keeping on, and I'm going to keep on speaking about these things that I'm seeing, and you know, as well as other events around the country I would talk about. But once again, peace and blessings to you all, and I thank y'all. Have a good night. Speak with y'all next week.